Good morning and welcome to We Repair. So today I'm working on an Oculus Rift or Meta Quest 1 headset. We're just going to do a simple teardown. Full disclosure before I start, this is damaged. It does not function properly. One of the eyepieces has a smashed lens in it. The only reason I'm taking this apart is because I've got another one of these that's locked, and I want the motherboard out of this so that I can transfer it and make one complete good headset. So before we start, major thing to note, it's fairly destructive, this repair. You do have to take, or rather do tear down, you do have to take this whole outer piece off, and it is covered with glue, so it is quite difficult to get off, and you unfortunately do have to remove it to get to most of the inner workings. Also, two things to note. There should be some caps that sit by the eyepieces. Mine are missing. This is just a cheap second-hand one I bought on eBay. So normally you would just flick them up and they would just pop off. In terms of screwdrivers, you just need a T5 screwdriver, and that's all you will need to take the whole thing apart. So without further ado, let's just crack straight into it. I've already broken this piece away down here. Normally it would be stuck together and it would be quite tricky to get apart. And you literally just have to peel it back. As I said, there is adhesive all the way around the outside. We've just got to work our way around. And you will see immediately the screws I was referring to. So you'll start to see some T5s here to get this off. So we do need to unscrew all of those screws. We also need to get this piece out. It is clipped in. Let me just grab a spudger. So you do just have to work it, and it will come unclipped. And just work your way around. Let's just move this headset a bit so you can see. You'll see that there are about half a dozen little clips around the fabric piece, if it will go nicely, that we do need to undo. There we go. Normally once one comes away, the others follow quite easily. So there's one more there. And there you go. So if I look at that piece, you'll see that there's 3 clips around each of the eyes and some little catches on the edges that just keep it locked into place. So that's our headset open up. You sort of see the movement in there from the slider and the volume buttons and things there. There are a number of screws under the top here as well. That is more of a problem to get at. It is not easy to get to that at all. So you can make sure you can see this. So we will have to try and pull this away fairly carefully, but it will fight. And unfortunately, because these are in the way, there's not a lot you can do about it. There may be some easy way to get those off, but I have not quite figured that out yet. So let's remove this bottom piece so far. We do need to take this plastic surround off. There is a sensor cable on there, so just be really wary of it. So let's just undo this if it'll let me. Oh, there we go. So grabbing our T5. What I'll do is I'll just grab a little magnetic mat just to hold our screws, so I'm not going to lose them. Not that it matters massively, because as I say, this is all same size along the bottom. It doesn't take any time really to take this apart. It's more the fact that you're constantly fighting with the adhesive around the outside to free it. You'll see once I undo this as well, there's a ribbon cable for the power volume button, so just need to be careful of that. Don't know if it'll just let me pull this away nicely. It might do. So you'll see, if I can just show you this, let's try my best to show you. You'll see just in here, if you can see it, there's a little ribbon. So we're just going to try and undo that. I don't know if this is pop up or pull out, I can't remember. There you go, it's pop up. And that will just come away. Oh, there was another ribbon that side as well, but clearly I've just disconnected that by accident. So that's that undone. You'll see there's 2 screws that hold that in place. We're going to have much the same at the top. Let's just try and move this so I can show you. As I say, this is a lot of actual fighting with this to try and do it. if we could get these arms undone, we would have less of a problem, but actually you can't really do that until you've undone this, so there's probably something I'm missing. There's one of our screws. There's 4 in total along this top lip. So you'll see how much force I'm putting to do this. There's another one here, look. Some of them have got security stickers on it, but obviously the MetaQuest 1 are now of such an age that actually it doesn't really matter. And these 4 screws, just so you know when you're going back, if you go back, they're all of the same size, so actually you shouldn't have too much of a problem getting them in the wrong places. And there's one more adjuster here. Great. Okay, next thing we're going to do, I'm going to undo this plastic surround that's just here. Now, things to note, there is a sensor that sits just here behind it, so when we remove it we've got to be quite careful we don't damage that. It should take a little bit of prying, but it will go. The screws that are attached along the top edge, there's like little clips on them, so they're quite difficult to get undone. In all fairness, this whole piece is quite difficult to get undone, but I don't know if it's just going to let me go. The problem is that adhesive just holds everything in place and it's a bit of a nightmare. It will go, you just have to argue with it. There you go, there's one more. There's another one. So there you are, that's now undone. You'll see what I mean about the fact that there is a ribbon here with the sensor on the front of it. You should be able to get your nail under it though, and it should just lift, he says. You do have to be quite careful though, because it's well stuck in there, and the last thing you want to do is break it. Exactly like that. So thankfully this is a donor, and it doesn't matter. As I say, all I want is the board out of this. But it is that simple to tear that ribbon if you're really not careful. Right, next thing we're going to do then. So the piece that we want is here, and that allows you to then get to the screws on the front. So I'm just going to try and get a spudger down in here and loosen the adhesive off. You can see how much force I'm using to try and free this. You can just see how bad it is. There's so much adhesive back there. There we are. Look, that'll get you now out. I got bored of arguing with it. There's probably some way to get these arms off that I'm not aware of, but for the purposes of this, I don't care, because as I say, this is my donor. So next thing we want to do is we're going to undo these screws here and here, which will get the front off. Like that. Massive long screws. Like that. And then we should now be able to free this. I hope. Just take note that there is a Wi-Fi area on the back here that I've just disconnected. There we go. This is that Wi-Fi aerial. So that connects just up the top. I'm not going to be able to spot it now just like that, am I? Took me a minute to spot it. It comes just from there. So again, we'll pop that off to one side. Right, there's our sensor for the face, which we can now genuinely disconnect even though we've broken it. And we'll just gradually work our way around now and just take these parts off one at a time. So we've got our fan here. Just work through that. Oh, that didn't come with it, which I was hoping it would. There we go, fans off. Take that off there. Okay, next thing we'll do, I'll take this metal piece off here that is partially stuck down as well. It does want to just come out in all fairness. I'll just take this shield off. I think that's the battery if I remember rightly. I'll just take this EM cover off. All we're doing here is working our way towards getting the motherboard out. So there we go. There's our battery connector now. So if we lift that up, so there you are. That's our one battery there. Pop that off to one side. And then we've got, by the looks of it, I think that's our speaker assembly there, but I could be wrong. So we'll start disconnecting things now. Got a nice ribbon here that can come off. A flex cable there that can come off if it wants to undo. There you go. And we'll start taking off some of these antenna cables. Another one down here. Open up, definitely is now. There's our heat pipe for the motherboard there, which we'll get to in a minute. There's another shield here that we'll just take off. That's another shield off. Another ribbon on our flex. Those go obviously out to the eyepieces. So for me, it's the one on this side that's broken. I think these are speakers. I'm pretty sure they are. Let's keep undoing. It might be. This looks like an aerial on the front though. Yeah, in fact it is. It's attached to the aerial. Okay, I'll take it back. It's not speakers. That's an antenna cable with a Wi-Fi piece. So I'll do the same on this side. Hopefully this one will come off a bit easier. Can't take that one off until I finish removing the motherboard. They seem to be held in by just 3 screws, so at least they're nice and easy to remove. I think that one's got one more on it. Oh, that's 2 more. Take it back. There we go, 1 more. So that is just a Wi-Fi aerial, which is amazing. We've got some more connections to our board. Oh, I tell you, this is going to be fun to reassemble when I get onto the other one. Okay, that's that disconnected. Again, we're getting close to getting the motherboard out now. I do have to get this heat pipe disconnected though, which runs under one of the flexes. So hopefully it's just a question of removing that flex out the way and then this motherboard should come out. Because I think this is more or less, oh, 2 more screws, more or less free. You can see how many screws I'm taking out here. All of these screws are the same size, so actually getting them back in if you have to is not going to be a massive problem. Right, so next thing we want to do is get this out. That looks like that's just glued down. Yes, it is. Okay, perfect. So we've got another, what, half a dozen screws in the heat pipes, or in the heat pipe. Again, those ones are slightly shorter. Same size screw head, screwdriver, it's still the C5, but they're slightly shorter in terms of their profile when you actually have to reinstall them, so make note of where they came out. Okay, hopefully now that should be free. There you go. So there's our Motherboard, entirely out as one piece. Is there another screw here that I've missed? Or is it just stuck? No, it's just on an adhesive thing with this up here. So I don't know how that comes out, or if it comes out, or if it comes out from behind, but we'll find that out in a minute. So next thing we've got is our two camera assemblies by the looks of it, and there's a mic array here, I think, by the looks of things. So if we just start disconnecting, so remove that one to start with, and then, oh, okay, this one's going to be interesting to get to. Might have to somehow get the plastics off for that one. Let's just take this out of here. So still on the T5, and this out of here. I'm hoping that this is going to drop these edge plastics away now. Yeah, there you go. That's whole piece is now away. And we'll do the same on this side, which will make working with this much easier. It's very frustrating that you have to work around the sticky mess to do this. Okay, well that's good. That one's also jammed there, so as I say, you should just undo that screw, but as I'm disposing this anyway, I'm just going to pull it off. It's a really bad thing to do. Cool, look at that. That's a bit of a monster. The question is, if I wanted to remove these edge pieces, how do we do it? Because they're clearly fixed through, unless there's a screw or something under here, and that's magnetic. So I don't know. Yeah, goodness knows. I think these must be your speakers, though, after that earlier discussion, because they've got ribbons that go into them. Right. So, anyway, we've got the last bits and bobs. We've got cameras here, and front and back, they're all attached to the same ribbon, and our charging port. So, you should just be able to take the charging port out super easy. So my assessment of the Oculus so far is this is just impossibly hard as a device to repair. But I have got another one of these to do, so we'll soon find out whether or not it's even viable. I'm going to have to see if I can figure out how to take apart those edge pieces, because you've got to be able to get them off to get into this without having to cut it like I did. Has to be a way to do it. I think this probably just undoes. Yeah, it does. Look at that. So at least the cameras have been thought about and they're sort of modular. These ones are glued, which is interesting. So is there more potential damage to the top and the bottom? I don't know. Okay, that ribbon's not easily going to come out. Maybe people put it down on the top or something, I don't know. I don't know if it's just going to... Oh, there you go. It does just pull out. It's just taped. It's not as glued as I thought it was. There you are. A bit like iPhone adhesive, that is, for screens. Interesting. Okay, is that going to come out in one piece now? Or have I not undone it enough? No, it's undone enough. Come on, you little monkey, out you come. There we are. Same as before. A bit like iPhone adhesive, just pulls out. And then this bottom camera here should just pull out. There we go, same as the other ones. We've got a little board here. Cool. So I'm assuming these are just priable up. I would imagine, I'm not going to try and do it in this video, but I'm imagining that you're going to have to heat this up. I would have thought legitimately you're going to have to heat it up, because that's the only way it's going to come out. That one is lifting actually, but I would have thought ordinarily you're going to have to warm this adhesive up to get it loose, because it's going to be really well stuck down. So I'll leave it there for the purposes of this video, but certainly something, hot air gun, hairdryer, something like that, will release it. In terms of this, I think we just do that and that. These little egg cups should come off. And there's our cameras out. I know that this one is already broken, so I'll show you the inside. So there's our lens, and then don't know if you can see that in there, but there's some cracks to that. So that'll be our screen in behind. If we just undo these little clippy things on the side, I'm going to bend them back because it's already really broken. Should just pull away. It's slightly taped in as well, but and there you go. There's your LCD panel just there. But mine's obviously, you can see it's smashed already, so yeah, it's not going to get any better than that. So that's about it. We are completely teared down. So we've got our board, our lenses, heat pipes, motherboard, which is the one piece that I do actually want to keep. We got our nose piece, and then our front panel. So our bars to hold everything in, our two aerials there, little fan, and then a nice selection of sensors and other bits, and then a lot of screws. I mean, it's not repairable, is it? Let's be honest. If you are sort of trying to do this from the outset, you're going to really struggle because it is just so well glued in. It's not going to be an easy thing to do at all in terms of the actual repair. I think on the repairability scale, you're probably looking at about a 1 out of 10, maybe a 2 if you put it at a really push, just because it's so well glued in. But there we go. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. Hope you've learned something, been able to tear down yours, analysed your decisions if you're thinking about doing a repair yourself, because it is such a pain in the backside. I am going to attempt this again without breaking anything, because I've got to try and do a motherboard on one. And I'm just intrigued to see if I can figure out how this comes apart, which if I do, I'll do a little follow-up video and see if I can show how that does disassemble, because I think that would be useful to someone, save you having to cut it like I did. Anyway, if you found that useful, please drop me a like, leave me a message, and drop me any comments you want. I do try and always reply. I'm not necessarily the fastest, but if I know where I've got parts or components, then I'll always put that in the comments and let you know what I did to fix it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.